Welcome to another edition of my Collegiate Gothic Tour. Today, we're at the University of Richmond. Like Duke, Virginia Tech, and Catholic University from previous tours, the University of Richmond's campus contains many, if not all, of the elements of Collegiate Gothic architecture. Collegiate Gothic architecture is deliberately designed to make campuses appear older than they actually are, giving them an air of more prestige. For more information about the history of Collegiate Gothic architecture, I provided a link to the first video in the notes. We'll explore all of the features of Collegiate Gothic architecture at the University of Richmond's campus, beginning with the stone exterior of the buildings. The stone that is used on the exterior of the buildings at the University of Richmond's campus is red brick. Unlike other stonework used at campuses such as Virginia Tech, Princeton, or Duke during this period, red brick was chosen at the University of Richmond primarily because it was inexpensive. At the time, the University of Richmond did not have an extensive budget for handcrafted stone exteriors. As a result, red brick was used, but the architect at the time, Ralph Adams Graham, added granite trim around the red brick. We see this red brick trimmed with granite and other stones all throughout the campus building's exteriors. The brick limestone pattern preserves the masonry and artistry that is characteristic of the Collegiate Gothic architecture style. The red brick limestone pattern work is present on the exterior of most all the buildings on the University of Richmond's campus. In fact, the pattern is so prevalent throughout the campus buildings, it's represented on the university's shield. Another feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture that is largely prevalent at the University of Richmond's campus is the arch. For more information about arches and their role in Collegiate Gothic architecture, watch the first video about Collegiate Gothic architecture. I've attached a link in the notes. We see arches prevalent all around the campus. Here we see a Gothic arch at the entrance of the Cayley Center. Here we see an elliptical arch under the Clinton Webb Arch Tower that forms an archway between the Magdalen Center for the Arts and Booker Hall. We see another Gothic arch, this one with lush foliate cusps on the entrance of Canon Memorial Chapel. We see a round arch at the entrance of the refectory. The quadrangle layout, or quads, are another feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture that is seen prominently on the campus of the University of Richmond. The quads of University of Richmond's campus create a cloistered, quiet space between buildings for students to enjoy. Of note is the amount of greenery, such as plants, shrubs, and beautiful flowers that fill each of the quads of the University of Richmond's campus. Stern Quadrangle is the main academic quad on the University of Richmond's campus. It's bordered by the Humanities Building, Weinstein Hall, and the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. The Nathan and Sophia Gumbernick Academic and Administrative Quadrangle is another quad on the University of Richmond's campus. It's bordered by Richmond Hall, Fountain Hall, and Maryland Hall. Another quad on the University of Richmond's campus is known as West Hampton Green. This is a popular hangout spot. West Hampton Green is surrounded by North Court, South Court, Gray Court, Keller Hall, and Booker Hall of Music. On graduation day, seniors can be seen gathering to begin the traditional grad walk across campus to the Robbins Center for commencement festivities. There are also spaces that form quads between residential halls on the University of Richmond's campus. For example, this quad is formed by Robbins Hall, Residence Hall 1, and Dennis Hall. This is another quad formed by North Court Residence Hall. Collegiate Gothic architecture would not be complete without the presence of Finials, Grotesques, and Gargoyles, all of which are present on the buildings of the University of Richmond's campus. This whimsical grotesque, above the entry of the refectory building, pays homage to Ralph Adams Cram, the university's architect. Notice the gargoyles perched high above Weinstein Hall. Here are Finials on the refectory building, Boatwright Library, atop Jepson Hall, and Cannon Memorial Chapel. Here we see a flèche or spire, a special kind of finial above Weinstein Hall. Battlement rooflines are another feature of Collegiate Gothic that we see around the University of Richmond's campus. We see some battlement-style rooflines on the roofs of the Humanities Building, Laura Robbins Court Residence Hall, Jepson Hall, the Clinton Webb Arts Tower, and Booker Hall. Another prominent feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture is the bay window. We see it on many of the University of Richmond's campus buildings. The Cayley Center, the Clinton Webb Arts Tower, the refectory, and Weinstein Hall. Another feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture is the presence of buttresses. We see this largely decorative feature around the campus of the University of Richmond. We see them on the outside of Jepson Hall, here on the outside of the Humanities Building, here on the outside of Cannon Memorial Chapel, outside of the Magdalen Center for the Arts, and outside of North Court Residence Hall. Another feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture is the presence of exterior sconce light fixtures. We see exterior sconce light fixtures on various buildings at the University of Richmond's campus. On the outside of Boatwright Library, on the outside of the entrance of Virginia Baptist Historical Society, on the outside of the tunnel at Dennis Hall leading to the residential quad, here on the outside entrance of the refectory, outside of the entrance to Jepson Hall, and on the outside of the entrance of Cannon Memorial Chapel. Another feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture is WindowTracery. Tracery is an architectural device that divides large windows into smaller parts using elaborate patterns. We see this in the windows of several buildings at the University of Richmond's campus. We see tracery on the windows of the Humanities Building, the windows of Jepson Hall, the windows of the Robbins School of Business, and the windows of Cannon Memorial Chapel. Window quoining is another decorative feature of Collegiate Gothic architecture. This brick masonry around the windows of exterior buildings can be seen on a number of windows around the buildings of the University of Richmond's campus. The windows of the Gateway Village Residence Hall, the windows of the Cayley Center, and the windows of Weinstein Hall. Well, we've reached the end of our tour of Collegiate Gothic architecture at the University of Richmond. I hope you've learned a little more about Collegiate Gothic and can identify some of its features on the buildings at the University of Richmond's campus. Stay tuned for more videos about Collegiate Gothic architecture at other campuses.